Right, today at the Quick Speed Shop, I'm hoping to solve a drivability issue with the carburetor on my 1980 Dodge W200. I've got a Magnum 5.9 liter engine in here with an air gap style intake with a 600 holley, and I bought it rebuilt at a swap meet and it was rebuilding correctly. To fix it, I went to Summit Racing, summitracing.com, and I bought a Edelbrock AVS2, or AVS2 I should say, 650 CFM carburetor. These have brand new style carburetors. They came out with them a year or two ago, or a couple years ago. They're made in the USA. They have annular boosters. They're supposed to distribute the fuel a little bit better. Electric choke. It's a square bore carburetor, but the secondaries are just a little bit bigger than the primaries. This is a 5.9 liter 360 cubic inch engine with a 600 holley, but it runs extremely rich. So we're going to put a brand new carburetor on it and try to fix all that right now. This truck has a 4-inch lift kit on it. Oh, and it's kind of tall, so I've got to stand on a box of exhaust parts over here just to reach it all. I've got to open this original air cleaner base. The top was actually rusted through. This truck was so rusty when I started. The top of it was rusted through. So what we got here is that 600 holley, which I'm talking about here. My throttle linkage is a little bit of a problem. The stock Dodge cable over here, I actually had to cut the end of the cable off and do like a little turnbuckle deal, and it's kind of substandard if that, but it seems to work. So it shouldn't be too much of a trick to get this guy off of here. A couple of bolts and we can swap this carburetor right out right now real fast. Hopefully the Edelbrock throttle linkage is close to working. Just go ahead and disconnect my fuel line here. We might have to make a new fuel hose. I didn't even look to see which side the Edelbrock comes on. It could come on the other side or in the back. I'm not sure. We didn't look before we started. Just kind of getting right into it here. We'll get the carburetor off before we go any farther. People on the internet and stuff have had good luck with these AVS2s. They seem to work good. I see a lot of people put them on things. Pretty good performance right out of the box. Notice my old school Mickey Thompson aluminum valve covers. This is, like I said, a Magnum 5.9 liter, but I've dressed it up as a LA. It's got an LA style timing cover and damper on the front, and you can bolt LA valve covers to it. These original LA, 318, 360, 340 valve covers from back in the day, the real deal, original Mickey Thompsons from back in the day. Okay. There we go. Here I've lost the one down on the intake, the air gap intake. So where did that go? Shoot. It's a Chinesium, or just an eBay special air gap intake. It's a knockoff of an Edelbrock. And it is cold-blooded, but they only make air gap style intakes for the Magnum engine. They don't make I haven't been able to find any non-air gap style intakes, and it is super cold-blooded, and I would kind of like to have just like a regular intake for it, but I don't. I think maybe Mopar made like an M1 or something like that. Maybe I was looking into it a little bit, but they're super expensive and super hard to find, so I'm stuck with my $300 eBay special. Boom. So you can see our air gap intake there. I was having issues where the lower cylinders were fouling out, the lower ports. It had fouled out those 4 plugs. That's what led me to believe there's carburetor issues. I don't see anything wrong in the intake, but it is an aftermarket cheapy intake manifold. You can see it pools rainwater and oil and whatever else on top of the valley cover there. It's just how it is. But I think we Should be okay. Let me get something to cover up that plenum while we're working on the new carburetor. All right, here's our old guy here. This is just a 600 CFM standard. It's a 1998 model. Electric choke, single fuel inlet. I've got to dump the fuel out of it. I'll do that later. But our brand new carburetor, we open it up, comes like this. You get a gasket set, instruction manual, comes with the wires to hook up the choke, a throttle ball if you had like a ball style throttle cable, a new stud for the air cleaner, and we'll go ahead and pop this guy right out of the box. Should be ready to run. Just have a few adjustments, idle mixture screws. I can already see the fuel comes in the back, so we're going to need a longer fuel hose. But is part number 1906 Edelbrock, and you can buy these reman. This is $400 and I believe $460. You can get a 19609. It's a reman for about $400, but I went with the brand new unit for. This is based on the old Carter style Carter AFB style carburetor. It's dual bolt pattern, so it'll bolt on the smaller, earlier intakes. If you flip it upside down, you can see it is a little bit of a spread bore, but it'll fit a dual plane manifold. It's got bigger secondaries. And the fuel boosters, here the red ones, they're analog, or not analog, they're annular, so they shoot fuel in a bigger distribution panel. You got a different air door on top of the secondaries. It's not just open like the Holley. Main USA. This is main 23. Here's your fuel mixture screws for your idle. Turn these in and out. You got manifold vacuum and ported vacuum for a distributor. You got a PCV hook up in the front. You can add one. Actually, you got to put a plug in the back. You got to plug your back port here with a plug, which should be provided. In the kit, we're going to get a top gasket for the air cleaner. We're going to get the bottom gasket for the carburetor. Here's some gaskets. Like I said, the choke pieces. Here's that plug here that's got a thread in the back of the intake with a little bit of pipe goo. We're going to get the air cleaner stud. Okay, I'm going to put the carburetor stud in. I'm going to plug this rear vacuum port. I've got some pipe dope here, which I use on everything. It's called Rector Seal. It's for like natural gas pipes, but I'm pretty sure it'll be good for gasoline too and vacuum. Put a little bit on there on my plug, and we're going to use the Allen to crank this guy in here. And it's a tapered plug, so eventually it will seat. Don't get carried away cranking it in there and crack your carburetor. Don't want to do that. So we're good there. We should be able to drop this guy right on now. I might have to put my longer carb stud in on my air cleaner, we'll see, but we should be able to drop this guy right in. Like I said, these are your idle mixture screws. This is ported vacuum on the left. This is manifold vacuum on the right. And actually, I'm not running a vacuum assist to my distributor at this time, so I'm going to put vacuum plugs, which are included in the kit. Man, they're tight. Get on there. We're going to vacuum them, plug both of these. Now you got to watch, if you ever get vacuum leaks, these rubber plugs tend to dry rot pretty fast. They're cheap rubber, so just be aware of that. We've got our fuel inlet here, which I'm going to need a longer hose. And I'm also going to need a longer PCV bells to get around. I've got my negative and my positive for the choke here. It looks like the negative of the choke comes with a kit here. We can poke this guy right in. This wire into the negative side. It's a male connector into a female connector. I am going to have to get put a bigger eyelet on this wire because my carb studs are 5/16 and this hole in this appears to be a little bit smaller. But we got our surface ready to accept here. Throw the gasket right up on it and then plop this guy right down on there. Boom. Now I went and shortened up the choke feed, or the choke ground, and I put a different eyelet on it so I can ground it to the carb stud, or the carb bolt, I should say. And that needs to go right about there. Just gonna wiggle around till you find it. That's what she said. Okay, we got that guy there. Go ahead and ground through our carb bolt up front here. I'm using 5/16 18 stainless steel bolts with washers and nylock and lock washers. Guy looks good on there already. Throttle bracket I made needs to be narrowed. The holley has a much wider footprint of the base plate, and I need to grind some off this piece, that piece here. Got my red lead over here. That is the power for my choke, which is also too short now. These are things you got to fight with, and of course that is all. That is all there. I'm going to have to extend this. I'm going to have to extend this wire. I can't get the harness is all zip tied in place and goes one way because it's got other things in it, and I can't get this wire connector long enough. I'm gonna have to add my connector for the positive side of the choke, fix that. We're gonna have to get a longer piece of hose to get to the PVC valve and wrap around here. I need to mount my throttle, which will go right here. That should tie in about the same spot on it. Here's your throttle. So you can hear the gas pedal hitting the floor. I got to modify my bracket to mount back there. So I got some tinkering to do, and I need to make a longer, actually no, the fuel hose. Where's the fuel hose here? Yeah, I also need to have a longer fuel hose. It won't reach from where we're at, so I got to get a longer piece of 5/16 hose and put a longer piece of fuel hose on to come down the passenger side and tie into the fuel port over here, which is a little bit different. So I got some tinkering to do. Let me make up all the pieces I need to make up, and then we'll hook the throttle up and we'll fire it up and see how it runs. All right, I got the carburetor all bolted on now. I had to make a new fuel hose. The fuel filler fitting on the carburetor is 3/8, but I was able to stick the 5/16 hose over it because I have a 5/16 line coming off my fuel filter. This is a factory Dodge fuel filter, which has a return line to the tank. But I got all 4 bolts in. I haven't done any adjustments yet. Got the choke hooked up, extended that. I used our Edelbrock lead to extend the choke. Got the ground terminated here where it goes. I've added a new PCV hose over to my PCV valve. We've blocked off the back thing. There, the back plug. Now I have cobbled my throttle linkage back together the way that it was, but I'm running out of adjustability on my cable because I have to cut it off every time I pull it out and put it back. So hopefully we don't have to take it back apart anytime soon. And let's fire it up and see how it runs. Now it's going to take a minute to crank it and build fuel back into the bowls, so I'll just crank it here. Wait for the buzzer. There we go. I checked for fuel leaks here. I already see the choke is pretty rich. It's not pulling the choke off yet. The choke is pretty fat. We're gonna have to lean the choke out a little bit. See how it's smoothing up now? You can adjust that by turning the choke body. All right, should be off fast idle right there. It's idling a little high on the tack. I'm at 1100, so I got to back the idle screw down, which is right here on the front, if I can get in there. Maybe. Okay, here going down. Okay, we're idling about 900. I'm going to turn it just a hair. I'd like to get it down to about 8. Being a standard, this could idle like at 750 or so, or 8. That's probably about 8 right there. That's about 8 right there. Goes back on medium idle because the choke's not open all the way yet. The engine's still a little bit cold, but we're gonna, you want to set your idle mixture when it's all the way warm, which we're not yet. I'm gonna go ahead and play with the idle mixture. I'm gonna turn them in till the idle starts to go down and then turn them back out just a hair. I say we take out and drive it and see what it acts like. Let's try it. See what happens when we drive it. On the internet, guys on the internet said these chokes were fat. The plugs might be fouled in this from from the holley. I'm also not sure if I don't have ignition issues. When I get on it, I had a hesitation this choke is still, I'm gonna make sure I got 12 volts pulling the choke off. It's still on the choke. Let me, it'll be rich if it's still on the choke. It's still on fast idle. Choke's not really pulling off. I gotta check for voltage there. Sure sounds pretty healthy just sitting here. The sun is going down. It seems to be a lot snappier than the holley was. I got a feeling my 12 volts to my choke is not working. I don't have the vacuum choke hooked up, or I don't have the vacuum advance hooked up, so that could be part of my bog issue. It was pulling the timing really high. I'll hook it back up to the ported side of this another day with a timing light and see with the holley it was pulling a ton of vacuum, or it was pulling in a ton of timing, so I'll hook it back up to the ported side of this and see. I'll have to take a look at that choke. Doesn't seem to be as rich out the tailpipes. You know, the choke is on a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be anywhere near as rich as the holley was. It's hard to tell. The side pipes are weird, and I hear a lot of like kind of like it's loading up mid-range. But if it wants more advance when you get into it, it could be a little fat. That's third gear right there. It seems to pull a lot stronger than it did. It seems to pull a lot more than the holley did. Yeah, the choke's not pulling off like it's supposed to. Now it's finally pulling off, I think. That might just be heat from the engine pulling the choke off. I gotta make sure I got 12 volts there, but it seems to go pretty strong. It's still rich in the tailpipes. That could be from before. The exhaust is kind of hot, like it's a little rich. I got to pull the plugs out and see. The plugs might have been fouled from the holley. Let's check for 12 volts at the choke real fast right now. Other YouTubers make this look so easy. Yeah, we got 12 volts to the choke. So I got to loosen the screws up on the choke and lean the choke way out. It's pulling off way too slow. You take the 3 screws around there and you can turn the body and it'll change when the choke arm pulls in there. The choke is set way too rich right now. But it is definitely, the choke is way too rich. But I'm out of time right now to monkey around with it. And I don't know, do I need a little more tension on my springs? Kind of wish they had like just a touch more tension. Could go down a hole here on my bracket. Yeah, as soon as I let off that throttle, that choke started closing again. So the choke is my throttle cable holding me open a little bit. No, I'm on the stop now. But that choke is definitely too rich. I'm gonna back the idle screw down just a tiny little bit more. But I gotta do some more tuning with this thing. Ow. And everything is very hot right now, so now is not the time. Let's take another half turn out of the idle adjustment screw. I'll play around with it some more, but it definitely seems to run better than the holley did, like richness-wise in the middle. I think a lot of our stumbling and stuff is due to the choke like half closed, especially in the early on. It was super rich, the choke is closed. So I'll play with that. I'll take, lean it way out so it just closes and it starts to open immediately, because this thing doesn't need a whole lot of choke. And we've got some... Yeah, we got good spring tension on our springs now. I can always change the angle of that bracket if I have to, or make a new one with a different angle, but that seems to be good. It's not leaking fuel from anywhere I can see. It should fire right up. I've got to get a longer carb stud here to go in here. It's a 1/4 inch all thread. I'll get a longer piece and then be able to cut it down. So overall, I think I made the right move here with the AVS. It definitely has way more throttle response, mid and top end. It's a screamer. That holley would go rich then lean, and it ran like garbage. I've got to let this thing cool down. I've got to actually work late all this week, so I'm not going to have time to work on this anymore now in this video. But I will let it cool down. I'm going to pull all the plugs out and see how they are, see if they're fouled from the holley. I'm going to clean the plugs up and make sure they're good. I'm going to lean that choke way out. You take the 3 screws and you turn the body and it changes the spring tension in the choke mechanism. It's still pulling on way too much. It's way too rich. So I'll lean it way out, lean the choke out. The idle mixture seemed to be good. When it's down on like 800 RPM idle, it seems idle good. I'm going to play with those. It does have a little bit of a stumble when you get right into it, but that's probably the reason, or that's probably with the choke being half closed is half of it. but I am going to play with my timing again, with my timing light, and hook up the vacuum advance to the ported side, the left side here. The vacuum advance, that'll get rid of some of that initial throttle stumble. I've fixed the spring where I put a little bit more tension on it, so I should pull it back down closer to idle quicker. We have 12 volts at the choke, so we know it's working. We just need to adjust the mixture. Other than that, it doesn't seem to leak. It starts right up. Barely any tuning. Hopefully, it's going to run a lot better on this thing. And in the future videos, I'll be messing around with this. I just run out of time now. Like I said, I got a lot of things going on to work. But you can buy one of these carburetors at Summit Racing. I think $460. The Edelbrock 1906 AVS2. You know, with a little bit of tuning, they're good. I don't know what's wrong with this holley. Like I said in the beginning, it had multiple issues, had wrong jets. I don't know. I changed the power valve, tried messing around with that. I don't know if it's got the wrong, if somebody's messed with it internally. It just ran not good for me a lot of the time. So we pulled that off and we went with a brand new carburetor. I just got tired. I've been fighting with it for a while. And it seemed like the answer was a brand new AVS2 that's got better boosters and better technology, modern technology. Like I said, seat of my pants, it seems to run good. It definitely is a lot crisper in the tailpipes. When I rev it up, it sounds like it's got way more fuel up in the RPM range. So without being too much, and it doesn't seem to blow black out the tailpipes like the Holley did. Like half throttle you get into it, it would shoot black out the tailpipes. This doesn't look like it's doing that. But I will clean those plugs up first. But thanks for watching. These hot rods are always a struggle. I'm not like, you know, I'm just a guy in my driveway who's not a carburetor tuner trying to tune carburetors on an unknown junkyard engine I slapped in my truck without doing anything to it except like a timing chain and, you know, some Chinesium intake manifold and a junkyard distributor. So you never know what you're going to get, like Forrest Gump always said. And I've got a box of chocolate here. I'm just trying to pick out the ones with the pecans and eat them first. I don't know. Hey, don't forget to subscribe. I know 90% of you guys who watch the videos aren't subscribed. So if you go ahead and click that button, I got 2 videos every week. Please watch them. It's the only way I can afford to keep doing this. We're at over 1,000 videos. The channel should be up here, but it's down here. You got to click, you got to subscribe, leave a comment. We'll see you next time. Hopefully getting that carburetor dialed in a little bit better here at the Quick Speed Shop.